Hey everyone, no worries. The phrase that changed how we talk. Do you ever notice how some phrases just quietly take over the culture? One day, nobody is saying it, then suddenly everybody is saying it. And for quite a while now, that phrase has been no worries. I hear it everywhere. It drives me crazy. Thanks for holding the door. No worries. Sorry I'm late. No worries. Can you resend that email? No worries. Your order will be right out, sir. No worries. Really? No worries? Because I have several. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand why some people love the phrase. I really do. And it's because it sounds friendly, relaxed, maybe easygoing. It removes the tension, if there is any, from the conversation. And I know, honestly, that's probably why it spread so fast. But, from what I could find online, the phrase originated in the Australian English back in the 1960s. It reflected this, laid back surf culture. The whole don't sweat it, mate mentality. Sorry for the Australian accent there, it's terrible. It was optimistic, casual, human, maybe. And then in the 80s, and I remember it well back then, it jumped into North American pop culture. Again, Australia, the movie Crocodile Dundee. We all heard it, we all watched it, Paul Hogan. It kind of made Australian slang sound cool, rugged, and carefree. And then, of course, we all remember what happened in 1994. Don't you? It exploded again when Disney released The Lion King. Remember that? And then suddenly, the whole damn world was singing Hakuna Matata, which, as the song says, means no worries. The song is already running through my head. Yours too, I bet now. Anyway, after that phrase exploded into global everyday language, and it just kept going, by the 2000s, no worries had become almost the default response to everything. And that's where things, to me, get real interesting. Because somewhere along the way, I think we all stopped using the phrase naturally and using it automatically. To me, there's a huge difference. Originally, no worries meant relax, it's okay, life goes on. Now, at least the way I see it, it often means, and I'm going to say this politically correct, I acknowledge your sentence and wish to end this interaction politely. That's not culture. That's verbal autopilot, verbal diarrhea. And I think we should really talk about why that matters. My old English teacher, Mrs. Pickett, I hope you're still alive, often said language shapes behavior. So the words we repeat every day slowly shape our emotional habits. Think about it. If someone apologizes sincerely for something meaningful, and then instantly you respond with, no worries, what are we actually saying? Because, I don't know, but sometimes a situation should involve concern. Sometimes there are worries, and sometimes people need accountability, honesty, and or emotional presence, not a reflexive slogan. So imagine these scenarios. Hey sis, sorry I missed your graduation. No worries. Or sorry I forgot your birthday. No worries. Or even, sorry I haven't been there for you lately. No worries. At some point, the phrase stops sounding it stops sounding comforting and starts sounding, I don't know, emotionally disconnected. Like we're minimizing reality just to keep conversations smooth. And doesn't modern culture love smooth conversations? Don't they? Just. Canadians, we're obsessed with avoiding discomfort or conflict. Nobody wants tension. Nobody wants the awkward, moments or pauses. Nobody wants difficult emotional honesty. So we use phrases like like their social lubricant. No worries, all good, it is what it is, or no problem. But here's the thing. Sometimes there is a problem. And pretending there isn't, it doesn't really make us emotionally intelligent. It makes us emotionally avoidant. Now, I know some of you are thinking, come on, Baumler, it's just a phrase. And yes, sometimes absolutely it is just a phrase. This isn't about policing language. It's about understanding how repetitive language changes the tone of human interaction. We do it every day. I do it every day. When every inconvenience becomes no worries, we unintentionally flatten the emotional nuance or distinction. Everything gets reduced to casual indifference. And honestly, I don't know. I think that will make relationships feel shallow over time. I don't say it. I hate the phrase because real relationships require emotional specificity. Sometimes the right response is, thank you, I appreciate that. Or, that actually didn't bother me, but I don't understand. Or even, I'm glad you acknowledged it. That's real communication. That's honest communication. But the phrase, no worries, often skips past authenticity and rushes straight into comfort. And comfort isn't always healthy. Now let's talk about another reason the phrase exploded. And I want to call it a modern branding culture. Think about how corporations talk right now. Every company wants to sound casual, relatable, approachable. Your banker, he talks to you like a roommate. Your dentist sends emojis over the text messages. Your boss calls you brother or hey girl. And customer service language became ultra relaxed. No worries, I hear it all the time. Or happy to help, or you got this. Everything has become emotionally softened. Why? Well, because relaxed language lowers resistance. It keeps people, agreeable. And eventually, we all absorb that style into our everyday speech. But here's the hidden consequence. We started replacing sincerity with convenience. Instead of saying what we actually feel, we default to socially efficient phrases. And no worries seems to be efficient. But to me, efficiency isn't always a connection. Sometimes connection requires pause or reflection or precision. So here's the irony. The original Australian use of no worries was probably more authentic then how most of us use it today. Back then, it reflected an actual cultural mindset. Today, for many people, it's just a filler, a conversational reflex. We say it because silence feels uncomfortable, and silence does feel uncomfortable now. See? Modern conversation moves fast. We have texting, we have voicemail, we have voice notes, we have notifications, we have algorithms. We're constantly responding, we're reacting, we're smoothing things over. We can't wait to touch our phone, no matter how busy we are. And phrases like "no worries" have become, I don't know, emotional shortcuts. But I think shortcuts can weaken the meaning. Think about how many expressions have lost impact through overuse. Words like literally, amazing, best ever, the goat, or ironic. Once words become automatic, they stop carrying that emotional weight. And "no worries" to me has entered that territory. Now, does that mean we should ban the phrase completely? Come on, of course not. Sometimes, "no worries" is perfectly appropriate. If somebody bumps into you lightly at the grocery store, no worries. If a friend is 2 minutes late picking you up, hey, no worries. But context matters, and language should fit reality. And I think we've started to use the phrase everywhere in situations where honesty would serve us better. Because not every inconvenience is meaningless. Not every disappointment should be instantly erased with verbal Febreze, if you will. And maybe, just maybe, we've become so uncomfortable acknowledging negative emotions, that we rush to neutralize them before they can even exist. And to me, that's not emotional maturity. That's emotional editing. And things like social media probably accelerated this even more. Online, everybody wants to appear chill, unbothered, low maintenance. And I shouldn't say everybody, but most of us. Nobody wants to seem sensitive, so we casually dismiss everything. No worries. Or no big deal. And hey, all good over here. Meanwhile, people are stressed to the nines, overwhelmed, burnt out, anxious, exhausted. I think that was last week's vlog. But those people still pretend everything is fine. Because culturally, we reward emotional smoothness over emotional honesty. We just do. And maybe that's why this tiny phrase deserves, bigger conversation. Because words are never just words. They reveal values, habits, or cultural priorities. And to me, "no worries" reflects a culture increasingly uncomfortable with depth, friction, and most of all, vulnerability. So before this turns into a full linguistic therapy session, let me say this. I'm not anti-positivity. I'm not saying we should become dramatic over every little inconvenience. Life is already heavy enough. But sometimes people genuinely need reassurance. And sometimes "no worries" is kindness. But kindness without sincerity, to me, eventually sounds hollow. And I think people are starting to feel that. So maybe the solution isn't to eliminate the phrase. Maybe the solution is to become conscious of it, or conscious of its use. Use it intentionally, not automatically. Ask yourself, do I actually mean "no worries," or am I avoiding a more honest response? Because language comes, powerful again the moment we choose our words deliberately. And honestly, that applies to far more than this phrase. The words we repeat every day become the emotional architecture of our lives. The way I see it, maybe we should choose them with a little more care. What do you think? Maybe instead of defaulting to slogans, we return to real conversation, real acknowledgement, and real emotional presence. And if we can do that, well, then maybe we stop talking at each other and start actually talking to each other again. I'm the Bearded Bombler, or I used to be the Bearded Bombler. I hope you like that. Leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back again next week.